Welcome to Look Around the Confederation. I'm your host, Steve Moose. And before we get started, please remember the views and opinions expressed on this broadcast are not necessarily the views and opinions of the SCV, it's GEC, nor divisions, parade, camps, or any of subsidiaries. How is everybody doing in Dixieland tonight? We are in the middle of scheduling our interviews. So, we're still doing the just going over the news part of Look Around right now. But we do have a couple already scheduled for the AOT. I think we'll have all of them scheduled by the end of the day, maybe next week. And I'm going to go ahead and reach out to the Army of Northern Virginia and try to get all of them scheduled now. And then, of course, after that, I'll reach out to the people running for Commander-in-Chief and Lieutenant Commander-in-Chief. I have allergies. I have been coughing a lot today. And when I get allergies, I cough a lot. Good evening, Florida man in the chat. Good to see you. Past Commander-in-Chief, the most sharp-dressed man in the SCV. Paul Gremlin Jr. in the chat. Past Commander-in-Chief, the Lone Ranger, Chuck Michael in the chat. Good to see you. Mr. Frank in the chat. Mr. Ryan in the chat. Good to see you both. Mr. Mr. Jason from Virginia checking in. We actually have a bit of news from Virginia. I don't know everything, so I'm not going to go into it, but part of the thing I used to do is talk about heritage attacks, and I kind of want to get back to that as part of our news. So if there's any heritage attacks going on and the SCV has a response, please let me know. Camp Commander of Camp 596, Gerald in the chat. Good to see you. Our Chief of Heritage Operations, Mr. Ron Kendi in the chat. Good to see you. Donald, good to see you. Can't remember if I said Victor. Good to see you, Victor. Still in Virginia, or West Virginia, the not real state. Well, actually, fun fact for you, Commander. I was not looking at the screen. For those who don't know, I take a vacation every year that, I cut off all work. I don't do any SCV or anything like that. I don't worry about anything in my beach trip. And we're in the middle of discussing that in our group, voting on where we're going to stay, when we're going to go, how much are we willing to spend on a trip. And we had a small problem we ran into where they're asking for a big part of the money we owe them, like right off the bat. So I was like having a discussion with my friends about the beach trip, and I look up and I was like, oh crap, it's showtime. We were almost late, but hey, we are on time. But I think it's important for everybody to sit back and relax at one point. And my 1 week out of the year, I don't do any SCV stuff. Even when I take my work break in December and January and part of February, I still do SCV work. This is the only time of the week where my phone is basically turned off. And I'm looking forward to that. It's a bit weird where it falls this year. It is conflicting with an event I wanted to go to, but hopefully I can support those guys who are doing the event in another way. I know they have another event earlier on in April that I'm going to try to go to. That way I can still support them and being part of helping them out with their events. Robert, good to see you. Keith from 1209, good to see you. Camp 2150 in the chat. Good to see y'all. Dr. Mitchum, good to see you, sir. Dr. Mitchum, I just realized you emailed me about something like a couple months ago. Or not a couple months ago, but like a month ago. And I just now saw it. So I'm going to read that and get back to you. William, good to see you. And I think that's everybody. But yeah, no, we're having a heated discussion about the beach trip in the chat our group chat right now. They are going after it. My phone is blowing up. Even the things that aren't supposed to be stressful can be stressful. Let's see here. I got a bit of news tonight. A lot of the same old events we've been promoting, but also got a couple new events that we want to talk about. Of course, the GEC meeting is this Saturday, and we also have another event happening this Saturday. So I hope you guys can go to either or, but we'll be talking about them. 5th Brigade, aide to camp, Jack DuPont. Good to see you, brother. Great job on our brigade newsletter. Hey. I hope to see everybody at my brigade meeting Friday. Moose, is that a YAF t-shirt? Donald and I, back in the late 1960s, were a member of PAY, Patriot American Youth. Yes, so I got mad at the college Republicans when I was at Ole Miss my sophomore year. And I decided to join YAF. Mainly because they owned Ronald Reagan's ranch. I remember that being my selling point. I was like, oh, that's awesome. And so I joined. Yeah, this was a free t-shirt they gave me upon my membership. I don't know if I've ever renewed it, but I was a member of YAF my whole time at Ole Miss. And I was also a member of Turning Point for a while. I was actually vice president of the Oxford chapter of Turning Point, which was just crazy time. That was right before I became really involved in the SCV. And when I became involved in the SCV, I started taking lower roles to help out them other ones because I felt like the SCV was doing something that all of them weren't, and that was protecting our heritage. Horace, good to see you from Utah. Wow, he actually said Harrison. I can't remember the last time I heard my name on the chat. We will miss you, Jack. Hope to see you at the next one. Yeah, Santa might have moved. I don't know. Yeah, that was what made me mad at the college Republicans, Jack. They loved fake conservatives, and so I kind of got mad at them, and that's the whole reason I walked away from them. I liked them because their membership was so low. You can join the college Republicans for $10 back when I was a student at Ole Miss, and it was phenomenally cheap. But you get what you pay for. Safe travels to everybody. Yes. SCV needs an outreach in Southern universities. I agree, Mr. Ron. We actually tried to get something going in Oxford for a while, but it's hard to get college students to do anything. I'll put it like that. And it's not their fault, I would say, but I mean, getting them to help out was a problem. Even in other famous groups, I think everybody knows kind of what student organization I was mainly a part of at Ole Miss. If you don't, just check out my early posts in my SCV page. Yeah, there is a SCV-led camp that all it has is students in it, which I think is pretty awesome. I would like to see more of those around college towns, not replacing the camps that might already be there, but they could join it and make a college student section, if you will. And I mean, I'm just throwing it off the top of my head, but yeah. I would love to see it still. It's just you almost need a couple people that are like freshmen that are already about the SCV to really get it off the ground, because I did it like right before I was going to leave Ole Miss, and I knew I was leaving Ole Miss because of the monument and just the slap in the face of my heritage. I already knew I was going to do that. So, I mean, by the time that I had all my ducks in a row for it, there was not enough time to materialize my dream of that. You are correct, James. You keep looking at him. Santa might move again. We never know. Uh, yes, there will be a flag retirement ceremony at General Nathan Bedford Forrest Boyhood Home this weekend as well. If you can attend, that would be awesome. I will try my best to, but again, the GC meetings that is more likely going to be at the same time. So it depends on if it ends early, if I can get over there quickly enough, and of course, if there's no business being discussed. Let's see here. Any other comments? Any other comments? Let's see here. Let's see. Well, and welcome everybody. Our Commander in Chief, Jason Boshears. It's one of those things where a lot of the current generation is being brainwashed at college. So again, I think it would be fitting for everybody to try to reach out to the youth before they get corrupted and try to give them something to do in the SCV, like a college camp, or get them to join a camp that's already active, and try their best to have a presence on that college campus. I think that's a very big, important thing we could be trying to do. But again, it's easy. It's one of those things where I know for a fact it's easier said than done. Any news of events at Beauvoir, or just Beauvoir news? Beauvoir met a couple of weeks ago. Our board of directors and board of trustees got together. Not really anything breaking news, I would say. Just housekeeping, making sure Beauvoir is heading on the right track, getting ready for summer, cleaning up the property. Our Confederate Memorial Day event is April 27th. And I don't know if we've announced our speaker yet, but I will give a hint. He is a lively man. I'll put it like that, because if I give you too much of a hint, I might accidentally spill the beans. I know we're planning on revealing that either tomorrow or next week at some point. But I'm going to keep quiet on that for now. But I'll promote it when it happens. But yeah, that's our next big event, is Confederate Memorial Day at Beauvoir. And if you have nothing going on April 27th, I don't think you could go to a better place than Beauvoir, the last home of President Jefferson Davis, operated by the Beauvoir Corporation, who is made up of the Mississippi Division SCV. I mean, wow. It's one of those few places that it speaks to you every time you're there. And there's very few places like that. General Forrest's boyhood home is one of them. But it's something that, it's got great historical value, and we 100% own it. So I like supporting places like that. Yes, I will be in Columbia this weekend. I will be at the GEC meeting. I will be getting there late Friday because, as I said, my brigade meeting is this Friday. I'm the councilman for my brigade, so I'll be there running that meeting. And then as soon as that meeting ends, me and my poor father will be driving all the way to Columbia, Tennessee. And hopefully our lovely commander-in-chief is nice to me. And let's see how early he asked me to get up. But it's a great time. I'm going to enjoy being at our headquarters. I always enjoy it. Maybe I can finally trick Adam into giving me a Elm Springs tour if he's not too busy. He is busy, I know he is, but I like messing with Adam. We need a group of student conservatives to invite a speaker from the SCV. Yeah, I agree. Uh, and you have to play it, delicately because again, these poor kids have been brainwashed, and I know how it is. I want to do a whole episode on that, on the brainwashing college does is nothing compared to the brainwashing high school does. I mean, high school is down here when it comes to brainwashing, which is still pretty bad, but college has decided to really take it up to a whole new level. So it's very interesting. So I would love to see uh, college campus outreach on Southern schools. And I know a camp that is thinking about doing something like that, but I mean, it's just hard to get that stuff off the ground, man. Uh, didn't have it, but yeah, I would love to see it, and I would love to help out. Considering my age, my youth, I'm I can reach out to maybe these kids more than an older member can, simply because college students like being with college students. It's that simple. At that age, they love making connections to last a lifetime. That's one thing. When I first went to college, that was all I thought about, was what type of connections can I make that I will have for the rest of my life. So yeah, I would love to see something like that. But again, it's hard to know where to even start, what to do exactly. Um, and you kind of need a lot of stuff to fall into place. You need a couple of college age students to be able to help out there. But I think it's possible. I think you just need to have all the tools ready before you go to that workshop, so to speak. But I would love to see it happen. And if anybody has ideas they would like to come and just talk to me about, if you just want to run it past someone college age, Harrison SCV is my SCV work Facebook. I message me on there and I'll respond. Let's see here. Let's see. Yeah, and if you come to Confederate Memorial Day at Beauvoir, you get to see Gerald in a Confederate uniform. It's perfection. Uh, I love messing with Gerald. Gerald's one of my favorite people because he always can bring a smile to your face whenever you're having a rough day. So yeah, come to Beauvoir for Confederate Memorial Day. Uh, Army of Tennessee Councilman Faversham, by the way. Carl Jones also in the chat. Carl says, I concur. It's well worth the visit. My second favorite place after Elm Springs. I have them tied. I can't pick a favorite. That's just because I know I'm a Mississippian, so I'm going to be biased when it comes to Beauvoir. But Commander-in-Chief Jason Boucher says we start at 8:30 on Saturday. He's been called a lot of things, but never been called lovely. I don't know where that came from. One of my high school teachers used to call everybody lovely, and I never understood why, but it has somehow snuck its way into my vocab. So, like a couple months ago, I called Carl lovely, and Carl was like, please don't ever call me lovely again. And so now I've called it to our commander in chief of all people, our lovely commander in chief of all people. Oh, that's going to be a morning and a half. I'm going to have to chug 2 coffees. But a lot of business will get done. It's going to be awesome to be there. Our Lieutenant Commander in Chief, Walter D. Donnie Kennedy, says he's sorry he's late. You have not missed out on much. It's just really me just messing with the chat. Someone said, come on. Dennis said, come on, whippersnapper. Yeah. Let's see here. Confederate flag celebrations across Alabama this Saturday, including at Judge John's home and museum in Asheville, Alabama, for anyone who might be in the area, March 2nd. Well, high school, yeah, like they might brainwash you, but a lot of kids aren't really absorbing that energy information, but they do get the common student. While college, in my opinion, gets the person who loves history and who are going to be our next historians. They brainwash them, and that's really what's kind of got us in a bind with these historians cold-heartedly believe everything that their professors told them, because that's supposed to be the place where you learn your craft. So I think college is more dangerous to history, simply because the common person, while we do need to win them over, you know, they can usually be reached out to, and they can usually change their mind because they don't have something set in stone with history. While a historian that's been trained and brainwashed through college, they're going to defend their viewpoint even if you give them cold hard evidence. They're going to be like, well, yeah, they'll find an excuse. Trust me. Some Commander Boshier said, go somewhere this weekend and somewhere in April. I'm hoping to find a couple more events to go to in April. I know I'm going to 2, maybe 3 events already. I'm gonna try to do a couple more. I need to see what's going on more in my brigade and division. Carl says, well, Jason is lovely. It felt well, Carl, it's because you both are just two lovely gentlemen. Uh, oh gosh, I couldn't help it. Y'all have treated me nice. Dr. Mitchum says, lovely isn't so bad. You ought to see some of the comments I got for his book. It wasn't about slavery. And see, something like that is good to get into the common person's head about history and show them the truth. But yeah, in order for us to reach the next generation of historians, we really need to have a presence in their life first, because they won't believe anything from people they think are lying for some reason. But hopefully that is a future discussion we can have here on the chat. I would love to talk about it. Because again, I think it is a good talking point to have, and something we need to be doing as an organization, and not even really organization. This is something you can do on the camp level. If you're in the camp around a college town, 100% you should be trying to recruit college students. And after you recruit them, make a committee of college students or something like that. Give them something to do where they can reach out to more college students and keep on bringing more in. And that way, you can continue to affect the future historians. Because even if those college students aren't history majors like I was, you're getting into their head and showing them facts at a very early age in our life. Most men absorb information really well from 18 to 25. Women is like from 18 to 23, I think. So you need to really get into their head at that point. Because most kids in high school, because I know I was this way, I was an SCV member when I was 12 because the cadet program. I joined at 7 or 8. And I always had that history in the back of my mind. And of course, where I went to high school, my father was my history teacher. I couldn't have asked for a better history teacher when I was in high school, because my father knows a lot of American history. My dad never used the book in class. He always taught from the podium without any book. And that's how we learned history. And that's how I learned history home and at school. So by the time I got to college, yes, there was a risk of me getting brainwashed because I was a history major. But luckily, my dad had really put in the fundamentals at home and at school for me, because those are two good keys you need to have at high school, is to have those two things. And so by the time I got to college, I didn't have to fear brainwashing. But I know a lot of historians that started off high school pro Confederate, that our college that came in pro Confederate, that left anti Confederate and have not changed back since. They won't even answer my phone calls anymore because of my work in the SCV. They think I've completely lost my integrity as a historian. That's how bad the brainwashing is. These are people I would have considered friends when I was in college. So yeah, I would say both are very necessary. We need to have, and I know Commander Boshears talked about this, like for something for the young members between 12 and 18, and something more with a cadet program. I love those ideas because that can really go ahead and get some of the kids that might already be on the fence, depending on how bad education is in their area. You've saved them. We also need to do something, though, for the college students that are 18 to my age, that, they might not be ready to do a lot in the SCV because they're starting a job, they're getting married, having kids, so on and so on. And of course, they're dealing with college. The funny thing about college is it's the most free time you'll have in your life. But if you're a college student, you can agree with me on this. It doesn't feel like that when you're in college. It feels like that after you get out of college. So, you're really fighting for attention. And so I would like to see 2 new programs on that. I know Commander Boshears already talked about one that I think is a phenomenal idea. I hope to see that come to fruition. I would love to help that out in Mississippi and anywhere I can, because I love the cadet program. I love helping younger members. I feel like that is part of my duty as someone who's in between the 2 generations of the SCV members right now. You have the future generation, you have the old guard, and you have me kind of in the middle. So I feel like I can pull those 2 together and try my best to help train the next generation and be a bridge for the knowledge that the old guard have in the SCV. Because I still learn a lot in the SCV daily. I've been really involved since 2019, I would say, is when I really stepped up my game in the SCV. That's when I really started taking it seriously, because before that I was a good camp member, but I didn't do anything on the division, brigade, army, or national level, simply because I was like, oh, well, our history's safe. From where I was at my hometown and my high school, I had no idea our heritage was under attack, really. And I didn't really pay attention to the news at that time. Our new history books coming out. It was really when I got into college, I got my wake up call that, holy crap, my heritage is under attack. And I can't let these people do that. So I have to step up my game. But, I'm weird. Most college students aren't going to have that. But, if I can do that and make sure, okay, they might not be an active member in their 20s, but when they get in their 30s, maybe even 40s, they're coming back to the SCV. They're coming back in leadership roles. And if I can do something to help that out, that would be enough for me anytime. Let's see here. I'm trying to read the comments too, but every time I go on a rant. Our Lieutenant Commander in Chief said, I heard from a liberal talking head today that they were upset because their children were rebelling against their parents' woke ideology. This is a chance for us to push the truth back on the South. I couldn't agree more. A lot of men, especially in the college age, are rebelling with the false history they're being taught, because now they're coming after our founding fathers as well. We always said that it wasn't going to stop with us, but now they're attacking our founding fathers. And so a lot of people are like, well, if they're going to lie about our founding fathers, what else are they lying about in history? So it's really been eye-opening for a lot of young men. And so I think we really need to capitalize on that. I think someone also asked when the next Commander's comments are. The March edition of Commander's Comments will be next Thursday. So there will be no news, no look around. It will be Commander's Comments. We will be talking about the news going on the national level. I can't wait to hear that episode. That's one of the few episodes I get to sit back and be a viewer and listen and learn about what's going on the national level. So I do ask that, again, when we start promoting that episode, you share it. When the episode is live, share it. It always helps. Moose, like I said, we are looking into a Students Awards Day ceremony for our Eagle Scouts, essay contests, and local students awards. Oh, yeah. And I actually have some plans on that myself that I can't talk about yet. I'm still ironing out details, but I would love to see more awards on that to give to students of, high school and college age that'll be like, we're here to help you and we're here to teach you. Because I mean, that's the one thing I wanted bad in college was someone to show me how to be a historian, for someone to give me the education that I craved because my school wasn't giving it to me. That was something that was very important to me and it led me to a lot of great historians that I still try to pick their brain about even today, because you never really stop learning, and that's the great thing. And being my age, I'm still a very young historian that has a lot to learn, so it always excites me talking to these people and learning from them. Like I mess with Dr. Mitchum all the time, that I learned so much from him just having him on the show and talking before and after the show. And Mr. Hardy, I do the same thing with both of them. I love learning my craft, and historian is a craft. I think Shelby Foote, now he was talking about writing, but I think it goes hand in hand, is an art form. And the first couple works of art you produce aren't going to be the best, but it's all about learning your craft. And it is a long process, a long apprenticeship, but it's something that a lot of the young people need help on. And so I would love to see more of that. I already answered that question. Yes. There are very many kids that they think they're educated, but they're not, sadly. At some point, people are educated and get paid to say certain things because it gives them access and accountability. The path of least resistance makes crooked rivers and crooked men. I kind of want to put that up for a second from our commander in chief. I think that's a great point. Like, especially in the academic world, it's all about your work. As I just said, as a historian, it's like an art. You have to produce product. You have to have a resume. And if that resume doesn't say something when you're a young historian, oh no, that credibility you so crave in the academic and historian world is in jeopardy. So again, we need to start helping people know that you don't have to go that traditional route. You don't have to transform into someone you don't recognize. You can still be a great historian and not be given the seal of approval by the modern historians that really aren't doing their job as historians. I always describe them as historians because they're not really historians. They are taking the name of a job that is very important in our society and twisting it, trying to say, look, we're historians, but you're not. Oh, that's going to get me on a rant. Oh, gosh. Yeah. Yeah. Yes, Commander's comments will be next Thursday. Good point, Mr. Ron. Our commander in chief will be at a division reunion. So our lieutenant commander in chief, Walter D. Donnie Kennedy, will be on with our chief of heritage operations, Mr. Ron Kennedy, next Thursday for commander's comments. They will give us a update on the national level. Let's see here. The first thing I did was get an ad in a newspaper. I was 11, LOL. You don't want to see the grammar that in that ad. I thank my former commander for allowing me to do something at such a young age. Yeah, I mean, and that's it, Jack. I mean, you have to have also people, when you get these younger people in the SCV, a lot of people, kind of like me, I get on fire for the SCV, and you'll have some kids that are like, they're not going to do much in their 20s, 30s, or teens. But when the time starts coming in their 30s and 40s with it, that when they would really get involved, you already have them. But for the people that are already on fire, say in their teens and 20s, not a lot of jobs will become available if the camp doesn't allow it, because no one wants a young person that doesn't really know what they're doing. And I understand that from a certain point of view. Luckily, my camp was very happy to accept me in a new role when I took over as camp adjutant. My brigade has been very nice to allow me to serve them as councilman, and I've served as aide de camps on the national and division level. I've had plenty of opportunities to grow as an SCV member and to learn how to be a good SCV member as well as a good historian, and that goes hand in hand. And so, Jack, you are kind of blessed. I will say that someone has allowed you to do jobs in your camp, and that's something we need to push more. Not really push. You shouldn't just like push them to the moon. You need to take it step at a time and train them. But again, I think Commander in Chief Bo Sears really hit the nail on the coffin with what he said on last Commander's comments, and it has not left my mind since because it just gets me excited that from 12 to 18, what can we do to train these kids, give them jobs in the camp, on the brigade, maybe like Jack is my aide de camp on the brigade level. He's still in high school, and he's not really maybe not ready for a commandership or an adjutant position, but I can get him ready and help get him ready and help him understand the SCV, help him understand our history. That's my job as his commanding officer, is to do that for him, and try my best to part what knowledge I've gotten the past couple of years onto Jack. And then maybe Jack will find another mentor that knows a lot more than I do. And the process continues until Jack is ready himself to step up on the camp level, brigade level, division level. So it's all about that. And yeah, I do take pride in the fact Commander-in-Chief Boshier says the old guard. Wow. One part of my title on my next article, Cadets in the Old Guard. Look, I think I like the term the old guard. And I wouldn't necessarily, because it doesn't sound like I wanted to use a term, and it kind of just popped in my head that like the people who aren't going out of leadership roles, they're still in leadership roles, but they're older, they're wiser, they've spent a lot of time in the SCV. And I didn't want to use previous generation, because y'all aren't the previous generation yet of SCV members. That is, y'all are still the current guard, but y'all wiser. So that's why I said old guard. So yeah, I like being the bridge between those two worlds, where maybe a younger member can look at me and be like, well, I don't really know where to start, and I can go talk to some people I know on the old guard side and really try to bridge them together, because that's something I've really made a focus of mine in the SCV, is helping younger members, because I was blessed enough to be in a camp that helped me and have a lieutenant division commander, bless his heart, that helped me and helped me mold myself into a productive member of the SCV. I had that mentorship, and I still have that mentorship. I just talked about how I'm an aide de camp on the national level. I'm Commander Boshier's aide de camp. I've learned a lot from him. He won't say anything like that. He won't be too nice to himself, but I've learned a lot from him. And so I like being that person, and I still have a lot to learn myself. So that's why I say I'm the bridge. I'm not there yet where I would say it's time for me to fully step up, if that makes sense. I'm not rushing anything, because I still believe I have certain jobs I can do very well right now that I can focus on and do good, instead of focusing on another job that I might not be ready for. I want to focus on the job I know I can do good in, and maybe take small steps into preparing me for the leadership roles that maybe I'll have one day. I'm not going to say guaranteed, because anything can happen. Maybe the people of the SCV don't want me. Understandable. But, I want to prepare myself for that level. And I always look forward to the next step, but I don't rush it. So yeah, I like the term old guard. Old cadets in the old guard would be a great program. I can't wait. Mr. Ron said, anyone who wants to be a good historian, spend time talking with Dr. Sandy Mitchum. I couldn't agree more. I love spending time with Dr. Mitchum because, again, I want to be a good historian. I want to write books. I want to defend our history, not just in the SCV, but on the academic world. And as a historian, that's my passion. If I could be as lucky enough as Dr. Mitchum to have a bit of his talent and be able to publish books, it would be one of my dreams because I love being a historian. I love the SCV, and they mix perfectly together. So it's a dream. So I love spending time with Dr. Mitchum, and anytime I can get him on the show, you can ask him. We should probably spend hours talking afterwards, and I throw in sudden questions. I love having historians on the show for that. Like for example, Carl. Poor Carl has gotten more questions from me than near about anybody. I think Dr. Mitchum might have him tied, but I'll just ask Carl point blank. I feel like I'm Carl, like the parrot on Carl's shoulder that doesn't shut up, and Carl's like, Harrison, just talk to me later. Because I ask Carl so many questions because I respect him, Dr. Mitchum, and Mr. Hardy as great historians in today's modern age. And I don't throw that term around loosely. Great historians, like again, and I'm going to forget someone the whole time, but like the Kennedys, who have wrote a lot of historian books and a lot of planning books to help us get ready in the SCV. And I don't throw that term around loosely because a lot of people do. And I don't do that because I have too much respect for the profession. So when I tell you you're a great historian, I'm telling you the truth. Because if not, I'll just tell you you're a good historian, and that way neither of our feelings are hurt. Yeah, poor Dr. Mitchum. I see a quarterly magazine published by the SCV that has articles written by SCV historians, a new version of Southern Heritage Papers. I would love to see that. It took me a minute to think that sentence. It took me way too long. But I would love to see that because it's cool to have multi stages in the SCV. That's what I love about it. You have people who are already good, solidified historians, and you have people that are learning to be historians. Then you have youth. I'm just going to throw that all into one category: youth. So helping train the current historians that are more my age, than the youth, the college students, and the high school students that might not grow up to be historians. Not everybody in the SCV is a historian. A lot of people think they're historians, but they're not. I'm going to get some shade for that comment, but I'm picking. But you still need to educate. And so I would love to see that too, Commander. I would be reading it every month or every quarter because, again, I love that knowledge. I know a lot of people are in my shoes. I try not to pat myself on the back. I really hope that I haven't done it too much because I haven't thought about it. But I don't like to pat myself on the back because I know a lot of people that are just way too willing to do it. And I always feel like I can be doing more, to be honest. It's a fault in my family. A lot of my family are workaholics. My father's a workaholic, my grandmother's a workaholic, and my grandfather's a workaholic. We all love the work we do. And so it can be easy to get too much. So I have to make sure I step back sometimes. So sometimes I still feel like I'm not doing enough. But I hope I haven't patted myself on the back too much. Well, David, you are a historian. Your work that you're working on is going to be very important. So I try to tell people because I'm writing my first books as a historian right now. I'm writing a couple at the same time that I tell people all the time that I'm not a historian yet because I haven't done the work, if that makes sense. Yes, I've done the research, the hours of research that goes into writing a book, but I'm not there yet. So I try again to respect the term historian and the art of historians. Modern day historians are propagandists. I couldn't agree more, Mr. Kennedy. Chief of Heritage Operations, Mr. Ron Kennedy. Great point. The modern historians are nothing more than propagandists that are trying their best to use history to convince you of something, which disgusts me, in matter of fact. Um, I I'm gonna get on a rant if we go down that rabbit hole. But yeah, no, that's what all they are, and it's our job, not just as SCV members, but as the historians we have in our organization, to make sure we pass on that actual skill of being a historian to the next generation. I mean, that's something again, I've struggled with because it took me a while to find my people I could really leak information from and grab that. And by no means am I even close to being a historian yet, in my own opinion. I think I still have a lot of work to do. First day I'm there, though, you'll hear me talk about it. I'll be very happy. It's going to be a major accomplishment for myself. Yes, lies have been taught since Reconstruction. Yeah, I agree with that, Mr. Dennis. They have not stopped. They don't ever stop. Thank you, Confederate Shop. Thank you, Miss Brandy. Um, I just love it. I mean, that's my only excuse I have. And if I can be any help, I'm happy to do it. Mr. Ward said, I'm 49 and a camp commander. My adjutant is 23 and fantastic in his role. That's awesome, Mr. Ward. I think the adjutant is a great position on the camp level to get to know and learn this organization. That it has really helped me. I've loved my role as camp adjutant, and I think when someone ages out of, I would say, that new program that Mr. our Commander in Chief Bashir said between 12 and 18, I think adjutant is the natural next step because you learn so much in that position. Um, it's a fantastic position. It's a hard position. I'm not going to lie to you, but it is phenomenal about learning. Mr. Ron said Napoleon's Old Guard was his best fighting unit. That's a great point. Just because I didn't want to offend anybody with Old Guard, because I didn't mean it as a bad quote or a bad saying that I came up with. It's really kind of like it is a badge of honor. Y'all have been really fighting hard for our heritage, and it's about time that y'all got help from the next generation, in my opinion. Because I mean, y'all have been doing it by yourselves for so long, and y'all have been our best fighting unit. Y'all have really helped us. So thank you everybody that's in leadership roles. Me and Carl have actually talked about this, I think, a bit. I got it from Carl, so don't make it sound like I'm taking credit for it. But camp officers should be constantly training future officers. The camp's commander should facilitate this. I agree. The camps, the brigades, the divisions, I would love to see a training protocol initiated at those levels. Because really, there's nothing right now. A lot of people have said it. You get elected to a position, and a lot of times, like, they pat you on the back, or they might not even be at the election. They know that they're not running again. They know you're going to get it. So it's like, have fun, my man. And again, luckily, I'm related to my old camp adjutant. My father is my camp commander, so I could really lean on those two when my first term as adjutant came up, because I botched it. My first year or two, I wouldn't say I was just the worst adjutant to ever live, but I didn't know my responsibilities real well. And luckily, they informed me and helped me when I dropped the ball a bit to lead me to be a better adjutant, to the point now I love my role as camp adjutant and take great pride in it. If I ever leave that role, I'm going to probably try to run again if no one is there, and if there's nobody that I'm taking that from. I love my camp adjutant position now, and I'm not going to say I'm great at it, but I would like to say I'm at least proficient. I do a decent job. Jack says his fifth year anniversary is in September. I cannot believe it's been that long. Wow, Carl. Wow. Carl. Jack. That's awesome. I didn't know you've been in for 5 years. I can't even remember how long I've been in. 10, 11 years. Help me. David said he joined in April of 2020. So this will be your 24th year in the SCV coming up in April. Yes, Carl, indeed, I agree. Commander Gramlin. Dr. Mitchum says he blushed. Well, I'll say it like this. Again, I'm blessed to have been put around a lot of great historians, and I'll just tell you how it is. I think y'all are great historians. And again, I wouldn't tell you that if I didn't believe it. Someone said you'll find your voice. Thank you, David. Uh, it just takes time, and I can be an impatient man, but I'm being very patient about this because I want to make sure I do the job with respect. Dennis says I'm 64 and know what I need. Know that I need at least 5 to take my place. Just kidding, 2 will do. Well, you're blessed to have 2. Um, I know it's kind of hard to find replacements right now in the SCV. Let's see here. Michael C. Hardy is a great historian. So are the Kennedys, and so is Carl and Dr. Mitchum. I've already said that a couple times tonight, but some people are talking about it in the chat. But Mr. Ron says the Kennedy twins are not historians. We are pro-South propagandists. I think you can be both in today's world. I'm not going to disagree with how you see yourself, but I will agree with your statement. Y'all are very pro-South propagandists, and we do need a lot more of those. Yes, completely agree with David here. Don't let genealogy be used as an excuse for not joining the SCV. We have a national genealogist committee that will research family lineages, and we have, guess what? Friends of the SCV. So if they can't be a member, get them in the friends. They can still join and still help out and be a great member for the camp. David, I agree with you. I would love to see a new historian or new Southern Historical Society. I think it would be great for helping have people focus on training future historians and helping current historians. I would love to see that personally. Let's see here. Just Mr. Kennedy, our lieutenant commander in chief, said the Kennedy twins are not historians. We are propagandists and promoters of the truth about America and the South. And Mr. Ron said, I disagree with my brother. The South is America. The rest is just minor Yankee territory. That's a great term. Oh gosh, that is fantastic. They're gonna there's gonna be a fight in the chat. Oh, it's hilarious. Carl says y'all are still historians, not perhaps not professional trained, but neither were any number of 7th, 18th, or 19th historians. I think the trained historian is a relatively new development. I agree. I think historian was taught with was passed down more with apprenticeships. I think, or learning yourself. I'll pat on Carl's back here. He is a self-trained historian, and I'll put him in that category. And you look at some other people. Shelby Foote didn't go to college and didn't get professionally trained to be a historian. I know he considered himself more of a novelist, but again, with his work, you can see he is a historian as well. So I wouldn't necessarily say that not being a trained historian is a bad thing, especially in today's world where a trained historian is impressive as this plastic baby I got from a king cake. Just being honest, it's not the end all be all anymore. I know there was a time where you could take great pride in being a professionally trained historian, like Dr. Mitchum, who has a doctorate in history. That's a massive accomplishment. But for someone like me, for example, Just get brainwashed for 5 or 6, 7 years. Okay, fine. Huh. I mean, that's the best I got for it. um, well, thank you, David. That means a lot. And I trust me, writing, reading, and thinking are something I cannot wait to have a bit more free time to do. Uh, let's see here. That is true, Commander Grambling. Some divisions and armies do have training. It's, however, become difficult to get enough men to show up. I might throw out something that could be controversial, but I think if you're going to take up office in the SCV, it should be required you attend a 1-day training seminar. It's not that hard. If you're going to take up the responsibility of being an officer, you should at least know your responsibilities, your duties, and how to do the job. That's my opinion on it. That could get me in trouble. Views and opinions expressed in this broadcast, not necessarily the views and opinions of the SCV. It's GEC, nor in Division Brigade camps or any subsidiaries. Strictly those providing it. And this is my opinion that I think, honestly, I think it should be mandatory. Because if they don't want to show up, okay, fine, reschedule it. Come and talk to the previous division commander if you're going in as division commander or camp commander or something like that. I think, honestly, it probably should be a bit mandatory. Past Commander Chief Chuck McMichael says, May is his 30th year in the SCV. Congratulations, Commander. Me and you are going out to a restaurant to celebrate. I don't know when, but at some point. Jason says he's coming up on his 10 years in the SCV in 2025. I had a phenomenal year 10 in the SCV anniversary. I got to do a lot of cool stuff that week. It was fun. Read, think, make presentations. Question will help you sometimes direct your research. I stumbled onto a project basically from a question at a prison. Okay. Thank you, David. More advice, the better. I like advice. I'm not that big of a ego person to turn it down. Let's see here. Tony says, my youngest is 28 and has been a camp officer for 14 years. He even agreed to fill a brigade commander position last year for a few months. Get them in early and get them involved. I couldn't agree more. That's really what got me. Is, give someone a camp officer position and watch them take off. It's pretty easy. I wouldn't say easy. Let me rephrase that. I would say it helps out a lot in training someone in the SCV. But that's awesome. That's exactly what kind of happened to me. I got in as camp adjutant and didn't think I was going to do anything more but be on the camp level, and I've somehow gotten brigade councilman. I've been division historian, awards chairman, and so many other positions that I'm not going to bore you all and pat myself on the back by presenting them all. But yes, it helps out a lot. Ron Kennedy, you tell the truth about the South. That the fight continues on if the Kennedy twins are in fact historians. I think y'all are both. I'm gonna be honest. Y'all can tell me behind the scenes next Thursday how you feel. It won't hurt my feelings. But I think y'all are both Southern propagandists and historians because you tell the truth about the South's past. You're helping reclaim the narrative. In order to reclaim the narrative, you guys have to know what the narrative is and be able to present it. I also consider the late great Shelby Foote a historian, as do I. Let's see here. Well, yeah, no, I love the Friends of the SCV. I think a lot of people, forget about it, sadly. And I think it's a great tool that we can continue to use, Tony. I'm glad you're here. The Friends of the SCV are, I think, a big component in the future of the SCV. Let's see here. Yeah, yeah. One of the great tragedies of modern history is monopolization by academia. I agree. Uh, David Pope said Douglas Southall Freeman was not a professional historian, but I think historian can be someone that doesn't have a degree, as I said. So I agree with that statement. He wasn't a professional historian, but he was still a historian. He wrote many great books on the South's history and American history, for that fact, with his George Washington books. So you don't have to have a degree. Would any reasonable person dismiss Thomas Jefferson as a historian? No. One of my favorites in academia to bring up anyway was that everybody will talk about how Benjamin Franklin was a great scientist. But I think as a scientist, you need more of a professional training. But here's the thing about Benjamin Franklin: he didn't have that. He just loved inventing, and he never his college degree was given to him. It wasn't through traditional means. It was a school being like, "Well, we're giving you this PhD. Thank you for all your work towards the science field." So I think it's the same way with history, if not more. I don't think you need to be professionally trained to be a historian. That's something I completely agree with. Could have a line officer training. Yeah, yeah. I again, going back to the officer training, I think it should be mandatory in my opinion. Again, you can disagree with me, but again, if these people don't want to, if people don't want to show up, you need to understand this is part of your responsibility for your job. If the camp has a training thing set up, perfect. If the brigade does, if the division does, if it has to go all the way up to the army, okay. But you need to try to attend these things. Kyle, me too. I know way too much about professional wrestling for my own decency. Eric Pavetti from SCV General Headquarters does an excellent job on adjutant training. Yes, he does. I've attended Mr. Eric's class, and I plan on attending it again because there's just so much you can learn. This month will be my 20th anniversary of my first camp meeting. Congrats, Carl. That's awesome. I'll take you out for some spam. Thank you, Mr. Kennedy. I hope to see you this weekend. Same here. Okay, yeah, we have a couple people leaving. Thank y'all for coming. I got to teach. No, you don't. I've watched way too much professional wrestling in my lifetime. Ooh. Proud member of the SCV Friends. Great. That's awesome. I love seeing that. I love having friends of the SCV here. Again, I think it's an underdeveloped tool that we're seeing some light shined on. I would love to see that get more light shined on it. Dr. Mitchum says, if you need a degree, I will sell you one of mine. Dr. Mitchum, do not tempt me. I'm about at that point where I would take you up on it and I'll just frame it and put it in my house and act like it's mine. I won't even change the name on it. I'll tell everybody I changed my name. I'll sell it. We've veered completely off topic tonight. I did not mean to talk this long, but it's been a great episode. I had a fantastic time. I am going to try to talk about some news real quick. Kurt, you are correct. It has been a drastic decline. It used to be a very proud thing that you could still be proud of it today because you're doing it your way. But overall, I think it was downhill. We'll catch this later. Headed to Elm Springs. I will see you there this weekend, Miss Linda and Mr. Roy. What was the topic? Well, I was supposed to talk about the news and the SCV, and I ended up talking about anything and everything else. In typical look around fashion, I took the ball and like ran with it. Oh gosh. William makes a good point. He was 30 when he earned his BA, 34 when he earned his master's, 49 when he earned his doctorate. You're never too old. Of course, I never use them. Oh, that's perfect. Maybe by the time I'm old, it will be worth something, and I can actually frame mine. At this point, I might just throw mine in the shed, which I'm pretty sure my father and my grandparents would kill me if I did that. All right, let's talk about some news. I'm going to talk about just a couple things, and try to talk about current news. I'm going to ask that you review last week's episode for some of the events we've always talked about for the past couple weeks, because it would take about another hour, and I love y'all. I love doing this. But I'm not going to stay here for 2 hours, and I don't expect y'all to. Yes, rip old Arl Anderson. Rip old Anderson. I said Arnold, didn't I? It's okay if you're running with a ball as long as everybody's keeping up with you. Yeah, it's true. At least I'm not ranting and everybody's asking me what I'm talking about. But I think it's a great discussion to be had. What makes a historian in the modern age? And poor Carl has been talked about a lot, but I just love the fact that, he is a self-trained historian. And I will point that out with Shelby Foote, Douglas Southall Freeman, Benjamin Franklin, who's not a historian, but a self-appointed scientist. But, I mean, you think about those figures and you realize you don't need to be professionally trained. You don't need a college degree anymore, because it's just about worth nothing these days. One of my friends who recently started working is working in a job that they don't even know what his degree is in. I mean, and when he graduated, he was looking for a job. He looked for a job for nearly a year and couldn't find one. And he has 2 degrees, math and business, and no one hired him. And then he ended up working as a salesman. So weird. God bless him. Yep, and Virgil. Virgil did pass. I forgot about that. Bless his heart. I feel like everybody's forgot about poor Virgil. But he did do a lot for that business. Sincere thanks to all you Southern historians and propagandists and etc. My collection is growing and I love it all. God bless and good night. Good night. Great to have you here. All right. I'm going to try my best to save this episode and talk about some news. First is this one right here. Members of the Louisiana Division attended the S.D. Lee Institute February 16th through the 17th in Columbia, Tennessee. I would like to have past Commander-in-Chief Chuck McMichael on to talk about the S.D. Lee Institute, but I'm glad that y'all had great representation there. I don't know how many people from Mississippi went or any other division, but it's awesome that y'all went there. The S.D. Lee Institute is a great place to get knowledge, and I've said it before on the show, but knowledge is a modern-day weapon in this Cold War for our heritage. We need to have it. So these events, please attend, because you won't be disappointed. Trust me. Let's see here. Next bit of news. This is the bike that Carl talked about that this camp has donated for the SCV. Beautiful bike, beautiful bike. And I think it's been donated to auction off, if I'm not mistaken. The group chat has picked up about the beach trip. My phone is off the hook now. But I hope that goes for a nice, good pin. It's beautiful. We got Robert E. Lee up front, and of course, looks like a battle flag over there. And who else? Who knows what else? If I rode bikes, I would want one. Let's see here. Next bit of news. The entry hall project, as everybody knows, Elm Springs is recently started restoring the house back to what it would be in the 1850s. And so this is part of their project. They removed a modern day closet that was put in the 1950s. So they're getting rid of that, and we're going to need to support that endeavor because, again, it costs money. And luckily, Elm Springs, this whole project was funded by donations to Elm Springs. So it's not come out of the SCV members' pocket that would go to the museum or the newsletter or the Confederate Legion, or anything like that. It's all about the money that came from Elm Springs. Let's see here. All right. I got to go do some personal business, so we're going to kind of wrap it up real quick. Thank you all. Oh, hello, Todd Owens. Good to see you, sir. So there is a lot of great events going on. A matter of fact, I missed an event. So I'm going to kind of tell you about it. In Virginia, Louisiana, Saturday, March 16th, there will be a parade at 1:30 p.m. Lieutenant General Richard Taylor Camp of Shreveport, Louisiana, invites you to take part in the Louisiana Red Bull Festival. This year is the 60th anniversary of the festival, and the Taylor Camp has been doing it for 28 years. It's a very well-attended event. The parade starts at 1:30 p.m. with a lineup at noon. There will be shooting. Bring a rifle. Bring a flag. Bring throws. And most importantly, bring yourself. All are welcome. We have a truck for some riders. For more information, please contact Past Commander-in-Chief Chuck Michael. That's awesome. I hope y'all have a great event, Commander. I'm glad I noticed that before I ended the show. I mispronounced it, didn't I? VVN. That's awful. Oh gosh, that's interesting. That's interesting. All right. The Claiborne Invincibles Camp 797 will host the rededication of the Homer Monument and dedication of the flagpole at the new Claiborne Confederate Memorial Park on Saturday, March 2nd at 10 a.m. Located at 7433 Highway 518 near Athens, Louisiana, all heritage troops are invited. Mechanized Cavalry, SCV camps, UDC, Children of the Confederacy, OCR, Infantry, Artillery, and Cavalry reenactor units are all welcome to attend. We will have rifles, pistols, and canyon salutes to units raised in Old Claiborne Parish. There will be guest speakers and organizations bringing greetings along with laying of the wreaths at this monument. Mark your calendar and bring your lawn chair. Sounds like a great event going on this weekend. I hope that everybody can attend that's going to be in this region. Sounds like a phenomenal event. I wish I could be able to attend, but sadly I can't be at two places at once. So please go support this event. If you need any information, you can reach out to us here at SCB Chat. We will provide you with the information, of course, scrolling on the screen. And I want to thank everybody for watching. It was a most unusual episode of Look Around, but we had a great time, and I hope y'all all did too. So make sure to share this episode out and tune in this Monday for SCB Chat at 7 p.m. Confederate Standard Time. And I will see y'all then. And remember, my friends, to stay Southern. Good night, everybody.